The Kings are one of the top two worst teams in basketball so far this season on both sides of the floor, resulting in them having an 8-27 record to start the season through 35 games and just being an overall unpleasant watch for any fan that wants to see good basketball. And it's sad to see, considering not too long ago, they were the most fun watch in the league and were a top 3 seed in the Western Conference, but it's all gone now. And it's back to the bottom where they've been for pretty much 20 plus years. Mike Brown is gone, De'Aaron Fox is gone, and Domantas Sabonis has basically been banged up, even though when he's healthy, he hasn't been as effective as he has been in previous years this season. And to be honest, you kind of saw the fall of this team coming even after their fun 2023 campaign. You looked at the roster during that time period, it was just a limited ceiling and a lack of true assets to ascend to being a real contender. And they tried their best. They brought in DeMar DeRozan to see if it would work and bring them back to having some glory and some fun basketball being played in Sacramento. But that didn't work because the moves that they have tried to make and they've tried to do to compete while pivoting have been awful. And it's exactly why they have a team full of like veteran pieces that could help contenders, and they're 8-27. First things first, they all blamed Coach Brown for coaching a team that was just really a factor of poor roster construction. And that was my thoughts at the time, and I am still, it's still my thoughts even to this day. Mike Brown, I'm not saying he's the greatest coach of all time, but he played a huge role in that Sacramento Kings 2023 campaign with just bringing a whole new look and a whole new style of play. And you gave him a roster that was pretty much limited defensively. And it wasn't like you had your top three high usage guys being like these high volume 3-point guys. You had a whole bunch of guys that wanted to do similar things, wanted to work in similar areas. De'Aaron Fox, a mid-range killer. Domantas Sabonis plays by the block and hit the little midi. He did expand his 3-point range and got a little more efficient. I think it was last season, but he's not a guy that I'm going to trust all the time to knock down shots from three. And you brought in DeMar DeRozan, who's a known mid-range specialist. It felt like they were really just trying to see what talent could work and just throw it all together and see what will happen. And it didn't work. And they fired Coach Mike Brown. And this team pretty much still sucked no matter what. It didn't really matter. Second of all, that De'Aaron Fox trade was a disaster. And the idea wasn't horrible to trade Fox. But when you consider the return that they got for a high-level guard, and the fact that you traded him to a rising Western Conference team with young assets and got nothing, none of those young assets in return. You couldn't get a Stephon Castle. You couldn't get a valuable first-round pick. And instead, it was a 3-team deal, and you got Zach LaVine as part of the deal. I mean, what are we doing here? The Sacramento Kings are just, they're at this point now where they have to make some huge decisions and decide whether or not they have to move off key pieces for future assets. But the question is, how much can you get for an aging DeRozan or a huge contract Zach LaVine or a tricky 5-man in Sabonis? And I know Sabonis is, when they're all at their best, probably the highest value guy on this roster, but he's also got flaws that contending teams might look at and be like, look, I don't know if he's worth this much. He might be worth this much, like that type of thing. And then obviously you got the other pieces. You got Westbrook, who's been pretty good for Sacramento. You got Schroeder, you got Malik Monk, and other pieces that would help contenders for depth and those things. But I don't think it's netting you anything special. I mean, not when you consider what they could have gotten if they actually played their cards right with a De'Aaron Fox trade. Or just the thought, you could have maybe decided to, hey, look, it's not going to work mid-2024, or not even that. You could say maybe even last season, because 2024 they had a fairly similar record to 2023. It's just the West was better, so they finished lower in the standings. But 2025 last year, maybe you could have moved off Sabonis then and just saw what you could have got. You could have just did a whole yard sale, just got rid of everybody and saw what you get. But now you got these pieces that I feel like are less valuable now than they were last year, or in this case, new pieces that I feel like are not that valuable despite making a lot of money. And I just don't know. I mean, if you're the Sacramento Kings, I guess you have to move off these guys. I think it's pretty obvious at this point and just get what you can get, see what's the best thing available for these guys, and just hope for the best in the lottery, I guess. I mean, their fate is in the hands of the ping pong balls once again because the management of this team has been disastrous. Even when they had a great season, they couldn't even keep it up and couldn't even like build off of it. They really just made it worse. And the fan base deserves better. I mean, the fan base really does. Considering they had the taste of success, it was so fun. It was nice to see them actually succeed for once and be like a competent franchise. And now they're back to what they've been, like I said earlier in the video, for the most part of 20 years. Unfortunately for the Kings, it's going to be a long 3.5 months, I think, till the lottery, where the fate of the franchise is in the hands of, like I said, some ping pong balls, and you hope that you get a Cam Boozer or a Darren Peterson or AJ DeBonsa, and you hope for the best and you go from there, but you can't even trust this organization to make the right draft pick if they do fall out of a top 3 and they get anywhere from a 4 to an 8, or, well, I guess they'd fall to like 6, the lowest right now, or something like that. 4 to 6 or anything like that. You can't even trust the front office to make a smart choice with the history that they have. So we'll see what happens, but I hope things get better for the Sacramento Kings. They have a lot to figure out. The team's bad right now, but maybe they find a way to flip some of these guys by the deadline and the lottery works out in their favor. And in the summertime, we're talking about the Sacramento Kings as, hey, look, they got some decent pieces in the deadline. They just drafted whoever with the first overall pick in the draft. They have something to build off of. That's the best case scenario right now for the Kings. And if you're a Kings fan, I'm pretty sure that's what you want. Anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been a checkup, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.